All right, we're going to let my graphics load up here, and then we'll get started here in just a second talking about another potential round of rain and storms heading our way later tonight. I don't know that we're going to see a lot, but we might see some. So I'm giving a chance for everybody to join here. Of course, this will be up on my page here. And if you miss anything, you can always go back and watch it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started now. And we're going to talk about the chances for some thunderstorms returning again later tonight. For right now, hey, what's up, LM? For right now, there's not a whole lot going on across the area. It's just very, very quiet. We really weren't expecting much to take place, at least early on here this evening. But if we go over and take a look, there are some storms that's kind of located just kind of northwest of us again tonight. There's been quite a few severe thunderstorm warnings up there in the Texas Panhandle and back in the northwestern parts of Oklahoma, even a couple tornado warnings up there earlier. Also, there's been, as you can see down here in central Texas, this would be down kind of south of Waco and kind of down in that area, kind of down towards Killeen and even into the Austin area. There's been quite a bit of severe weather, even some tornado warnings down there tonight. Most of what you're seeing there would be wind-driven stuff. That is really not I've really not seen much in the way of tornadic circulations within this area of storms. Most of it's just been strong wind gusts there tonight, and if we can put that in motion, you can see that line of storms that's from just south of Waco towards Rosebud, Texas, Rockdale, moving into that area. Big Boeing feature. In fact, there are some really strong winds in this here. That have been blowing out. Let me see if I can get a different perspective on this radar here. And then we'll talk about the storms that may impact us here a little bit later on tonight. We do got some friends and family that live down in that area there. So, looks like I don't have my Killeen radar pulled up. But anyway, they're pretty big storms down that way. And these are headed over towards this area over here, well south of Franklin here. And currently, there are some real heavy downpours ongoing there in Austin, but the worst of that weather should be sliding on through here soon. Now we go up the way. There's been some storm. Most of the storm is south and southeast of Dallas. There were some areas of storms up into Jack County earlier, but that is gone. Nothing much going on across the rest of Texoma here tonight. We're pretty quiet as of right now. I've just enhanced the radar feature a little bit so we could see if there's any possible boundaries or anything trying to pop up, and there's just really not. Some of our weather information is trying to develop some storms here, but the atmosphere is cool outside, and there's a big depletion of energy over us here. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially since all these storms are down here and have gobbled up all the energy down there, and the fact that we just really have never recharged here. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see much overnight tonight. Earlier, the weather information really suggesting quite another pretty good round of storms, but I don't know. You can see some little showers trying to pop up over there down here to the south of Jacksboro. I think there will be something that pops up, but if you look north, you do got some areas of storms, northwestern parts of Oklahoma here, some hail. These are hail-producing storms. Then you go over here into the Panhandle. There's a pretty good thunderstorm, a little hail producer there northwest of Childress. And then you go back into Amarillo. That's a pretty large area of storms. Now, what the weather models are doing here is they're trying to perhaps, and I'll show you in just a minute, they're trying to break a couple storms out ahead of it. And then they bring this larger area of storms kind of down our way, after midnight, but probably more like the wee hours in the morning. This would be like prior to the sun coming up here. But again, as it moves eastward, right now it's in a favorable area. But when it gets over into here, it's just going to encounter, like I say, that dead area where there's just not a lot of energy. So I think it's going to weaken quite a bit. I don't think it's going to be all that strong. Latest HRRR does show those storms north of us. Not a lot going on down our way. Here we are at 11 o'clock. Does try to show some showers popping up there after midnight. But if you kind of notice, there's that area of storms near Childress at 1 a.m. Look at how it just really weakens it as it moves eastward. Now, that is the latest weather information. Matter of fact, it didn't have hardly anything. But I'll say that earlier weather information was having, and which to me probably is a little more accurate, has a larger area of storms moving in. But again, with that energy being zapped, I would think that a lot of that would weaken. But there still could be some storms overnight, maybe even more than what this is showing. So this even has a shower threat going into tomorrow morning. So we'll keep an eye on that and just see how it all plays out here. So that's what I got. And once we get beyond tomorrow morning, I really don't have much in the way of storminess in the forecast after that. A couple little things I want to update you on here before I even start answering some questions, and then I'll answer some of your questions after that. Oh, what else am I looking for here? All right, here. I'll make this full screen so you can see it here in a second. I want to update a couple things here. All right, so for starters, this is your spring rainfall data here, okay? Of course, March was the only month of the spring we were below average on rainfall. For the month of April, of course, wettest ever, just under 10.5 inches. That's official numbers here in Wichita Falls. Then you've got May. So far, of course, we don't have many more days left in the month here. But as far as rainfall amounts go, this month we're above average by about 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches. For the spring, we're about 9.5 inches above average with a total of just under 17 inches. And if you look at the number of days with measurable rainfall this spring, 26 out of 87, which is about roughly right at 30% of the days this spring have featured measurable rainfall. So that's pretty significant here. And with all this rain, these were numbers that I checked earlier this afternoon. Kickapoo at 100%, Arrowhead at 96.6%, combined 98.3%. I will check the numbers here real fast before I jump off of here, so we can get maybe another little bit of a check on that there. I hope you guys were able to. Were y'all able to see my graphics just now? Hope y'all were able to. Let me check those lake numbers real fast. The lake is going to continue to rise. Arrowhead's going to continue to rise slowly. Nothing major. It may rise a little bit more. I'm hoping we can at least get to 100% before we get to the hot, dry months in the summer here, which is going to be here very soon. I've always said that, typically speaking. So Arrowhead has gone up from 96.6 to 96.7. So it's gone up by 0.1%. I've always said that June the 15th is kind of the cutoff. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I do it. June the 15th is kind of June 15th, June 20th is usually kind of the cutoff of where we start. We transition from our wetter spring season to the hotter, drier times of the year. I mean, I've seen storminess here as late as the last week in June before. And then you get over into July and August, and it barely rains any at all. You may have a storm or two in there mixed in a couple of days, but you don't get the repeated storm activity like we see now. It's just this is the time of the year here. Michael George, who is the girl doing weather on the weekends? That is Katie Frazier. She is a freelancer. She's just helping us out. She's not on the weather team. She's not an official part of the weather team. She's a freelancer, and she's actually when you see her, she's doing weather live from her home studio there in San Antonio. So she has been a big help for us, because if it weren't for her, Cameron would be working on Saturday. I would be working on Sunday. Now, I did come in last night at 10 o'clock because we had all the storms around to do the weather. It was certainly no knock against her at all. I just felt like with all the weather coming in that me or Cameron needed to be, here in studio. We knew it wasn't going to be that bad, but still, there was a lot of storminess around, pretty stormy overnight last night. So, but again, she does a good job for us, and I'm very grateful for her. Now, we have made a hire, and we have a new guy that will actually be on the weather team, and he'll be starting on June the 16th. You won't see him on air right away. It'll take him a couple of days before he gets on, but he's a kid that just graduated Texas A&M. So his name is Jacob Cook, and he will be here in mid-June. So we're excited about that. We'll have a full complement of weather people. So we're a 3-man weather team. Most small market weather places are 3. Sometimes you'll get 4. In my opinion, it's better to have a 4-man weather team, because if you have 3 of us here, and then if you have a 4th, that gives you a swing man. And I would guess that Katie technically could be a 4th. But she's freelance and she's not under contract with us. A lot of bigger markets, though, once you get into big markets like Dallas, they'll have as many as 6-7 meteorologists on staff, which I think that's overkill. But they got a lot of newscasts and whatnot down there to do, so they have to have a lot to cover it. So, but anyway, but we've had a lot of rain, as of late, maybe a little more on the way tonight. I do think that a lot of that activity is going to weaken before it gets here, but we just don't have any instability over us. And without gas in the car, a car can't run. And it's the same thing with weather, without any energy there, fuel, they're just not going to be able to, really be able to maintain that intensity here. So, but I do think there'll be at least a little bit of storms overnight. What's up, Jacoby Jans? What's up? And I'm certainly not staying here late tonight. There's no reason for that. I didn't stay late last night either. I mean, we had a couple of warnings here or there. So Eric says, thank goodness for the rain and thunderstorms we needed near Colbert, Oklahoma, side of the Red River during Memorial Day weekend. And happy Memorial Day as we're home tonight before the rain and thunderstorms come again. Thank you for that, Eric. And yes, and I hope you did have a great Memorial Day and a very, 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 very special thank you goes out to all of our servicemen and women and for those who sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice so that we may have freedom. God bless you and thank you very much for that, your sacrifice. You're welcome, Nicole Ashley. Matt Mahler, how is the wind looking this week? Well, glad you asked. I got it actually here in front of me here. So not really bad. This is not real, but a lot of times May and June can be very windy here. And we had a lot of wind in March and April this year. But as far as our winds go, tomorrow I have a light breeze out of the east, about 5 to 10. That would be Tuesday. Wednesday, I have an east-southeasterly wind about 10 miles per hour, so very light there. Thursday, I'll pick it up a little bit out of the north, 10 to 15, maybe a 20-mile-per-hour gust. Nothing major Thursday, though. Friday, I have very light winds again on Saturday. Sunday east at 10 to 15, and then early next week it may try to get a little bit windier. So I do have some southeast 15 to 20 there. As far as rain chances go this week, of course, we have the one tonight. There may be another front that kind of drops in Wednesday night and Thursday. It might give us another rain chance there, and there could be another rain chance maybe either Saturday night or Sunday night, but nothing too major. So yeah, Sheila, there's some storms northwest of you. There might be a little bit of activity in Quanah. I don't think it'll be a lot, but you'll probably see at least some thunderstorm activity there. It'll be late tonight. And I know you probably missed it, but you got this next complex of storms dropping in from the northwest, but I think it's gonna quickly weaken as it gets here. But there may be still some leftovers from it. So, and Alexia, maybe some overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. I don't think it's going to be a lot, but there could still be some. So not much, not at much stormy weather tonight. Yeah, not as stormy tonight. Our weather information, and this is what you got to do. You got to be careful about trusting the models here because they'll flip flop. They'll show it, they'll take it away, and then it'll come back. But one thing that that I've been saying all day is there's just no instability. And where those storms are at, there's been some sunshine and warm temperatures this afternoon, but you just don't have that down our way. So I would think that activity should weaken pretty fast, but there still would probably be something in the middle of the night. I just don't know if I don't think it'll be as heavy as the last couple of nights. It is definitely okay to go to sleep tonight, Kim. I'm going to encourage you, get a good night's rest. Yeah, just some rain, maybe some little brumbles of thunder, a little thunderstorm or two overnight in Wichita Falls, but nothing major. William says, hey, Ken, y'all stay safe. I'm down in Austin area. Oh, yeah, you got that big line of storms pushing through right now, William. That's a pretty good line. There were some, especially north of you and kind of south of Killeen and kind of south of Waco, man, there were some wind gusts in that area of storms. I think it got up to 90 to 100 miles per hour. Those were some big winds north of you there. So that storminess should push out of there pretty soon, and you'll see some quieter conditions later on tonight. I don't know Aaron very well, Aaron Tuttle, but I think that he's a pretty reputable weather person. I think he's more of a storm chaser than he is is a behind the scenes guy. And again, I don't know much about him, but from what I can tell, he seems to be pretty good. Not much. If there is any hail tonight, it will be very small LM. Yeah, it can be, Cameron, but you got to remember. And why are you still awake? I figured you'd be asleep by now. So you got to remember that with that, our atmosphere here is just worked over. It got worked on last night. It just those storms chewed it up last night. And then we had this big area of storms develop just south of us. And that too, whatever, recharge that tried to happen, that gobbled that up pretty fast. The storms that are northwest of us, you've got some energy up there, and that's why they've been able to develop. But it's just, I think it's just been too cool here. I think a lot of that stuff's just going to weaken when it gets here. I'm still going to keep some storms in the forecast overnight, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of those latest runs of the ARRR were correct. No tornado threat here. No, none, zero, zilch. Really hadn't been any over the weekend. There was a lot of people screaming for that stuff. It just baffles me and I'm not trying to call out anybody in particular at all, but there's just so many bad forecasters out there. The social media guys, there's a lot of bad forecasters in the TV weather world. There's even bad forecasters in the government. I don't know why in the world they were calling for, had that tornado risk over us last night. And again, Saturday was there to me. The shear was garbage. There was really never even a threat of that. I didn't think. I mean, I did mention that we could see a spin up in the line if we could get a line going, but the line really never came together much. So, it just didn't materialize, and it never really looked like it would. A lot of that gets started with the Storm Prediction Center. You have a lot of just TV weather people that are just scared to do their own weather forecasting, and so whatever SPC says go, they're the expert. That's what we're going to put out. I don't do that. I mean, I'm not letting somebody else make the forecast for me. I do it myself. Guidance, yes, I'll use it for guidance, and I'll use it as a bit of information, extra information to have. But it's not something I don't make my forecast based on that at all. Matter of fact, whenever I draw my severe weather risk, they're all my own, and a lot of times they look a little different than Storm Prediction Center. A lot of times they're close to the same, but sometimes they'll be a little different. So. They do that. And a lot of it, sometimes it's, Devin, sometimes it's a combination of things. You got some that want to get the interactions and get the Facebook algorithms that like it and push it out there a little bit more. That's probably one rule of thought. They do that so they can try to get, monetize their social media and make some money off of it. And then the number two is that you've got people that get excited about that stuff who are weather enthusiasts. They really don't have any knowledge about the weather, but they do see that they can read those convective outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center. So they get excited about that. And they'll throw that out there too. And then you got some that are probably legitimately just want to keep you informed. I know that Shannon Combs over there on Wichita County Weather, I know he's good about, wanting to keep you informed. He's not a meteorologist, but he does a good job of, getting the information out from the Weather Service. But myself, again, I've been here for a long time. I know what makes tornadoes and what doesn't in our area. And, if you're in Memphis, Tennessee, or Montgomery, Alabama, or somewhere, Little Rock, Arkansas, it's different. The weather's different over there than it is here. There's only certain types of weather patterns that create tornadoes for us. And, it just, we just really haven't had that come together much this year for us here. It seems like it's usually south of us. There was a big tornado today down there in central Texas down there, a big one down there today. And then there was one near Stanford yesterday, it was a big dust swirl. It really wasn't really wasn't much of a tornado. It was kind of a dust swirl, but there was one down there. But you got to have boundaries over us, some type of an outflow boundary that stalled, or a frontal system that stalled over us. Plenty. We've had the moisture, we've had the energy, but the wind shear has to be a little bit better in the atmosphere, and it just hasn't been very good. So, Cameron, you've only been here for 2.5 years now, or actually just a little over 2 years now. You haven't been here a long time. You got a long way to go before you've been here a long time, brother. I've been here a long time. What have I been here? So I was here in June 2008. So that would put me. This June will be 17 years here, guys. 17 years. I first got here and I thought, I'll only be here for 3 years. It's on a 3-year contract and I'm gone. 17 years later, I am still here. It's not that I haven't had opportunities. I've had opportunities. I can name them out. I had a chief, which I'm a chief meteorologist. I had a chief meteorologist position just within the last, really within the last year here, offered to me in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Pay was great. I turned it down because, it's just hard for me to leave my friends and family here in Texoma. I had a chief meteorologist position offered to me in Orlando, Florida one time. That was a really nice job too. Where else? I had an opportunity to go to Austin one time. It was advertised to me as a weekend position. but it actually became a chief position. And I would have been a chief there too. Now I would have probably have considered that Austin job, but that was years ago. Um, let's see. The Weather Nation tried to hire me in Denver. They tried to hire me about 10 years ago to be their chief up there, but the pay, while it was good, the cost of living in Denver was too much. Let's see, Reno, Nevada. I had a Reno, Nevada. Somebody offered me a chief job there once. I was in the running for a chief job in Cincinnati, Ohio, just within the last year. I was a finalist, but I didn't get the job. Of course, I really was. I don't think I would have accepted it anyway. Again, I just feel like that my home is here, and I've been here for so long, and it is so much cheaper here. You're right. The weather can be a drag here from time to time, but it gets really hot here and really cold here. It's really dry. It's really wet. The weather's not really great, but again, my home is here. So it's hard for me I've got businesses. I've invested in businesses here now. My kids are here. But that's not what keeps me here. I mean, well, yeah, my kids do, and my businesses do as well. But what really keeps me here more than anything is you guys. Richard Haddix is a good general manager. I like working for him. I like my TV station. Of course, there's gripes. So you're going to have no matter where you work, you're going to have gripes about some certain things. But overall, though, this has also been my home, and I basically built this weather department from scratch. When I first got here, it was a disaster 20 years ago. So again, but it's the people that kept me here, my kids, my family, and the community that's kept me here for this long. So, and I do appreciate the opportunity you guys have given me too here. So my wife won't let me run for mayor. She said, no politics. I was like, all right, that's fine with me. And I'm not a politician. So thank you there, Michael. Appreciate it. Or is it Michelle? I get so dang confused. Yep, I've been here, like I say, for almost 20 years now. And when my parents come here, they love it here too. I don't know why they don't move. They're both in their 80s, and they just refuse. They live in Mississippi still, and they refuse to leave. So, all right, I've got to go, guys. I got to get dressed for the newscast. But y'all have a good night, and I'll keep an eye on the storms overnight. But I don't think it's going to be anything too major overnight tonight. Just maybe some thunderstorms. It may not even be much to it even.